Hello everyone, welcome to my videos. Myself Ashwin Nayak. From today's the ninth standard social science in the part of history, the second chapter, the medieval India and political transition. So in this chapter, we have to studied in the previous class to Muhammad bin Tughlaq and then in his administration. So these are all information we have to studied in the previous class. But still today, to start about the Sayyid dynasty. The Sayyid dynasty is ruled in the 1414 to the 51 CE. Khizr Khan Sayyid, the governor of Multan, founded this dynasty by conquering Delhi. He established his rules in Doab, Bian, and Gwalior. He also suppressed any the rebellions and established law and order, ensuring the peace. Muhammad Shah, Alauddin, and Alam Shah were the prominent rulers of this dynasty. Bahula Lodi defeated Alam Shah and brought an end to the rule of these dynasties. So after that ruling, the Lodi dynasty was established. This dynasty it is started on the 14 to 51 to the 1526 CE. So in this period, the Lodi dynasty it is started and then ruling to the Delhi. This is the last Sultan dynasties of Delhi. Bahula Lodi, Sikandar Lodi, and Ibrahim Lodi were the Sultan of these dynasties. Sikandar Lodi conquered Bihar, Bengal, Dholpur, and Chanderi. This place was the Sikandar Lodi. He was conquered these places, and then he established peace and order in this Delhi. So after that, the Ibrahim Lodi, the successor of Sikandar Lodi, was incomplete. Afghan were invited to invade the India by Governor the Alam Khan and Daulat Khan. Thus that Babur the invaded India. He defeated Ibrahim Lodi in the first battle of Panipat in the 1526 CE and established the Mughal rules in India. Okay, next we have to study now. So, what was the contributions to the Delhi Sultan? At that first point, the administrative system. The most of sultans were dictatorial rules. Dictatorial rules. They were also the commanders of this army and chief justice too. The administration was in accordance to Quran. Sardars, Amirs, and Ulems has considerable influence over the administration. The central government had departments like defense, foreign affairs, postal, charity, and endowment of effective administration. This administration was the headed by minister and officials. The kingdom was divided into the many provinces. These administrative divisions were headed by Sikandar, Amir, and Chaukindars. Chowkidars. So in this Delhi's administration, it were headed by the Shikandar, Amir, and Chowkidars. The collections of revenue, the maintenance of law and order, providing education facilities, and ensuring the cleanness were the main rule of these officials. Kharaj. So this is the land tax, zakat, ushru, kums, the tax on the wealth, the plunder during this battle, and then jizya, the tax on property without heirs, import import duty, the house tax were the main source of this income during the Sultan's rules. There were the official of these collections of these taxes. Quizzes aided the sultans in this dispensing the justice in province and thus towns. So these are all were it is to collect into the administrative system in the Delhi Sultan. And then the next part in this what was the contributions to the social system in the Delhi Sultans. Okay, what we studying in the social system. So during the rule of Sultan, the Muslim and the Hindu communities had their traditional customs and faiths. The Hindu Bhakti sites and the Sufi sites of these Muslim communities, the ushered in social changes into the social system. In the beginning, the Sultan rules only a Turk Sardar were appointed to their higher administrative per higher administrative positions, the later on their influence to the valley. So during the regime, the Khilji and Tughlaq, the local people who had converted into the Islam had more opportunities to the particularly educated of these surviving communities and Hindus got that higher position. The ruling classes of this time, the got introduced into the Indian way of the dressing, beverage, the food and music and cultural aspect is also to spread on this the period. And then hence the Hindus were appointed as associate officers and clerks in revenue department. The slaves was in the okay the next slide. The slaves was in practice. The war prisoners were named as slaves. There were the many women slaves in this place. The status of women was not healthy. Parada system and child marriage were in practices. The women from the higher social classes participated in the fine art. The rural women that participated in agricultural and household activities. So these are all work. It is to administrated on this the social system and the rulings to the Delhi Sultan. Next, we have to study in the economic situation in the Delhi Sultan. So, what was the economic situation in this Delhi Sultan? The Sultan the brought in major changes in the areas of agriculture. The old system of fixation and revenue collection was changed. The mandatory payment of this tax by the both rich farmer and the poor farmer was the main features of these revenue policies adopted during the rule of Sultan. The transports and the communication were improved. The roads were built all across from Gujarat to Bengal. to the foreign merchants to visit all the small and big markets of medieval India, and some settled here also. This provided a lot of infects to craftsmen. The Indian art craft that entered to the Europe's market. The Sultan and the prominent businessmen were the running factories of gold and silver, the ornaments and silk looms. The Sultan and the prominent business were the running factories of the gold and silver, the ornament and the silk looms, and then to provide a lot of effects of craftsmen. The Indian craft art craft to entered on this the European market. So this is the economic condition in the ruling the period of Delhi Sultan. And next we have to see there in the literary policy or literary system. So in this Delhi Sultan we have to see there. So what was the contributions about the literary field? So, the many foreigners, the authors and historians were under the royal patronage of this Sultan. Their writing are in the Persian and Arabic languages. The famous scholars named Al-Biruni was in the court of Muhammad Ghori. He was a philosopher, mathematician. So Muhammad Al-Biruni, he was the famous philosopher, mathematician, and also a writer. He wrote a books Kitab ul Hind on the social, political, economic, and religious aspects of these Indians. The Hassan Nizam's roads, Tajul Mazir, Minzar, as Siraj roads, the Tabukal e Nazri. So Amir Khusro wrote the six books and provided the detail about Hindu and Muslims culture. He is called as the Indian Father. So Amir Khusro, he is called the Indian, the parrot. For example, he has to say that one word answer. So Amir Khusro is called as Indian parrot. And then next, look at that. In the Hassan Nizam Road, the Hassan Nizam Road is right on the Tajul Mazir, and then Minas as Siraj Road, the Minas as Siraj Road, Tabkal e Nazri, Juddin Barani Roads the Tariq u Frizoshani, and Firoz Tughalaq Road the Fudhat he Firoz Shahi. So these are all more the cultural contributions to the Delhi Sultan. And then next we have to see there in the contributions to the art and architecture field. The Delhi Sultan introduced a new style of architecture, so known as the Indo-Islamic architect. So Delhi Sultan introduced the Indo-Islamic architect at that period. And this, the most of this building, it is we have to see there in the arches, dome, and then the minars are the main features of this style. Okay, look at this. These are all art and architecture in this the Indo-Islamic sketches. And then the Delhi Sultans, the built forts, mosque, palace, public buildings, madrasas, and dharmashalas. So these are also one of the contribution to the architect field. Qutub Minar, Quwat ul Islam Mosque, Aliya Darwaza, Javed Khan Mosque are the few example of this Indo-Islamic styles architect are building to the Delhi Sultan. And then, so these are all were, it is contributed to the Delhi Sultan in the art and architecture field. So these are all informations to the contributions of Delhi Sultan. One of the administrative system, social system, economic situation, and the literature. At the last one, art and architecture field. So these are all were it is contributions of this Delhi Sultan. So orally, the history second part, art and the history second part, the medieval India and political transition. So this chapter was over. Thank you.